From the snowy mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, grab a great book from We Read the Night, join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by donating to Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We're getting weird and strange tonight. We're going to turn the woo meter up just a tad, because I think it's going to turn the rest of the way up, all the way to peak woo tonight. In the lower level of the Carnegie Community Arts Center lies the International Paranormal Museum and Research Center in Somerset, Kentucky, which has been around for almost 15 years. Kadel and Nathan Isaac have collected artifacts and unique items in their travels and now showcase them at the museum, as well as rotating artifacts on loan from others' collections. More recently, the museum and the town of Somerset have played a role in the series Hellier 2, where the team of Greg and Dana Newkirk, along with Tyler Strand, Connor J. Randall, and Carl Pfeiffer, have been led on their journey to their strange encounters through this strange town. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I am going to bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Kadel, Nathan Isaac, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. What a pleasure to have you guys here.
Hi, Dave. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Not a problem, gentlemen. Not a problem at all. And, you know, I want our audience to kind of get to know you. We're going to get into the Hellier stuff a little bit later on in the show. But for you, Kyle, let's start with you. How did you get involved with the paranormal?
Well, that's actually a good question. I am currently 34 years young, and I grew up on Unsolved Mysteries and Star Trek and X-Files and all this kind of pop culture. Really, I was growing up at a perfect time for kind of the weirdness pop culture angle. And I grew up obsessed with it. I always considered myself a skeptic. And, you know, much like Fox Mulder, I wanted to believe. I'd love to believe in all this stuff, but never really had anything in my own life to lead me in that direction. And then actually in high school, with my friend Zach, we got really into just the different ghost hunting specials and eventually the TAPS ghost hunting team. And we live in a small town, Somerset. It was much smaller even back then, 15 years ago, where there was nothing to do in the area unless you were 21, you know? And so we just started ghost hunting. We in our area, we're big on Civil War history. Some of the bigger battlefields or battles of the Civil War happened here in Kentucky. And so we grew up with all these weird, you know, Civil War stories and weird ghost stories in the area. And so my friend Zach and I just started ghost hunting. That's really where our entrance was. And it took maybe about 3 months of ghost hunting here locally in Pulaski County before we both started out skeptics, and enough happened in those 3 months that we had both flipped to the other side of the coin. We still consider ourselves open skeptics, where obviously I always want to debunk something first, but it's gotten to the point now, 15 years later, really what I like is the story of whatever we're investigating and the folklore that comes along with it. So we started out ghost hunting. A couple years in, we were actually at a cemetery here in Somerset, and I saw my first UFO in real life. It was a green light that was hovering over the main highway in our town, and we just stopped our ghost hunt, watched this green light just hover, going north and south and back again for about 15 minutes, and then it stopped and shot off west, and we couldn't see it anymore. So obviously that was shocking, you know, like out looking for ghosts, we see a UFO, and that just got us hooked on all the weird stuff. So fast forward to years later now, the museum itself covers all the weird stuff from ghosts to cursed objects to voodoo to Bigfoot to aliens. We have serial killer stuff. We have miracle water that we give out. We just cover anything out of the ordinary.
That sounds like a lot of fun, man. And I'm going to continue on with you here in a second, Kyle, but I want to get Nathan in here. Nathan, what attracted you to getting into the weird and strange on a daily basis?
Oh man, Dave. I'm from Eastern Kentucky originally, from like deep in Appalachia, and so mountain magic and ghost lights and all that stuff was just a part of daily life, and just a super super strange place. And grew up with a grandfather that was a fire and brimstone preacher. So that definitely, the apocalypticism of, everything's going to end at any moment. Definitely added a sort of strangeness to everything. And, just a super weird place. But I've always been into researching the paranormal since I was, pretty young. And I've always been fascinated with Fortean phenomena. And definitely, all of the John Keel writings have definitely been, just one of those things. It's just, I'm not originally from Somerset, so that's definitely added a whole new perspective to looking at this stuff, and possibly allows me to see it a little differently because, there does seem to be something strange going on here that affects people, and people that are from here definitely seem to be sort of blind to all the strangeness. But a lot of the people that are transplants here definitely are, get a different sense. So, yeah.
I live in a pretty small community too, and guys, I'm going to ask you because I think Somerset is pretty much like the town I live in, where when you're a newbie in town, people just don't come talk to you. They want to feel you out. They want to ask other people who you are, what you're like. Is that pretty much, Nathan, what Somerset was like?
I think so. I mean, it definitely it's kind of strange in the sense that Somerset is a small town, but the population in this county is really, really big. There's 60,000, 65,000 people in the county. The town's got about 12,000 people, but there's definitely that sort of Appalachian feel to it where if you aren't from the town, people are somewhat suspicious of you. Not as bad as it is in far eastern Kentucky, but definitely there is that element here. But Somerset is, I don't know, it's kind of a magical place.
Well, apparently there's a lot of weird tales coming out of there, and that's why we have you gentlemen on here tonight. Kyle, I want to bring you back here for a second because you've been in Somerset a lot longer than Nathan has. And with that, over the years, with it being a Civil War town and everything, what kind of ghost stories kind of haunted around there that you could remember as a kid?
Well, one of the first ones that comes to mind is actually... we have a battlefield here called Mill Springs Battlefield, and this year is actually becoming a national monument. First time ever. It's always been just a state-owned property, and it's now had its last... Oh, actually, this is hilarious. They just had one of the world's largest, or country's largest, Civil War reenactments, because once this whole battlefield goes to a national monument, you can no longer have these reenactments. So they just literally, on one of the last weekends they were allowed to have it, just had the largest Civil War reenactment that they've ever had out there. But it's in an area, the Mill Springs Battlefield, and what's really well known about it is that's actually where General Pulaski died. He died underneath an old tree out there. And, Pulaski is one of the quote-unquote heroes of the Civil War. He led a lot of things for the South to where, he was well respected by both sides, but it was a massive imprint when he died here at Mill Springs. And so one of the first things that I think of for ghost stories is at this Mill Springs Battlefield, there's a giant, just mass grave out there. And we've had a lot of our own activity. Like, We've had an investigation where we've heard a ghost cannon go off out there.
Oh, no way.
Complete. Yeah. And the craziest part of that to us was it echoed. So not only did this sound come from the netherworld, apparently, but it had enough physical property to even echo in our ears, like in real life. And so that was right out by the mass grave. The only time I've personally ever seen an orb, not in photographs, just with my own eyes, was a giant just ball of light shooting out of this mass grave and going up into the sky. But I grew up with this one specific story, and it's kind of an echo of a lot of urban legends, similar to a gravity hill. But if you park at the Mill Springs battlefield, and this has actually happened to my cousin, he was a 40-year-old man when this happened. We lived down the road from Mill Springs, probably 5-6 miles, and it was night, and my cousin Mark once pulled up on his way home in the parking lot at Mill Springs battlefield and dropped something in his floorboard and just bent down to get it. And in the 15 seconds that he was stopped there, he just heard just banging all over his car, and it scared the crap out of him. He drove on to his to our other cousin's house right up the road, like 15 seconds later, up on another battle site called Last Stand Hill, and got out of the car, and literally there were handprints all over his car. So that's very familiar to the Gravity Hill type situation that almost every small town has. But at the same area, there's been people seeing Civil War soldiers. My aunt, who doesn't know anything about the area, swore she saw a Civil War soldier walking down the street a mile from where this is. So the Civil War is, it's one of the biggest areas for this. But we've also grown up, like, especially in Pulaski County, in the South, in the olden times, they used to call ghosts haints. And so we've always grown up with these haint stories. But what's really interesting is once you get into listening to some of the old people tell these stories of haints that have been passed down from their parents and grandparents, is a lot of it doesn't sound just like a textbook paranormal ghost phenomenon. A lot of it that they call haints are really ghost lights that they see in the sky, lights that are coming from somewhere else. And they don't associate, obviously our first idea is UFOs there, and they don't immediately associate that. They just call them haints or the ghost lights. And so haint not only means spirits to a lot of these people, but it means a UFO basically. There's accounts of even fae folk, of little people, like once you get going with some of these people, and all they call them is haints. So really, we have this blanket term that really is colored by the Christian construct of the area, where everything's put into angels and demons and ghosts categories. But if you start digging a little bit past the veneer, it transcends all of that. So this area is super rich on that kind of stuff.
Excellent. Excellent. So with the history that Somerset has, what other spookiness is around the area, Nathan? Are we getting a lot of cryptid talk or anything supernatural happening?
Definitely this area has a crazy amount of, when I moved down here to Somerset, one of the first things I kind of looked at was the physical properties of the area. And I'd always heard that Sedona had the most UFO sightings. And so, and they said that was because there was high geomagnetic energy and quartz. And I thought, well, that's pretty easy to test. I can get a map from NASA, drop it onto Google Earth and look at that. And when I did, it definitely showed that there were 3 really big spikes in North America. One in southern Alaska, one in Sedona, and then there was one in the southeastern United States. And when you zoom all the way down, it's Somerset, Kentucky. And so when you do some research on NASA's website, you find that there's this thing called the Kentucky anomaly. And the Kentucky anomaly is the highest spike of geomagnetic energy in North America. And literally it's so powerful that the Van Allen belts will dip down and touch the magnetic field here in this area. And Also, there's a gravity map over top of the area that NASA produces, and the gravity here is slightly different. So there are all kinds of stories of spatial distortions, these interdimensional interlopers that pass into reality and out of reality. There's an area in the county called Highway 39, which, there's the 39, number popping up again. That's kind of been prevalent in high strangeness, of late. And Highway 39, people see crazy. I was doing some research on this because I'd interviewed a witness who had seen a 6-foot tall creature with white hair and red eyes that had jumped across the road, and then they drove 1.5 miles past that and encountered it again, seconds later. And when I did some research with looking through Albert Rosales' Humanoid Encounters books, there are numerous sightings in Kentucky of a 6-foot tall white creature with red eyes over a 20-year period, including this period. So we've even had a report from a guy that we interviewed who saw a baby dragon, or what he called a flying lizard, but he called it a dragon-like creature, fly into this reality and then out of the reality. So lots of super, super strange. And panther sightings. I mean, the black cat sightings, which usually accompany, I think, a lot of reports of window areas. There are tons of these black cat, what they call painter. They call them painters, but it's panthers, these black panther sightings. And there's absolutely have not been panthers in this area for tens of thousands of years. So it's really crazy. I mean, there's just a strange energy to the place. And it just seems that, I don't know, it's just ripe for this type of activity. So.
And Dave, I actually have a sighting I think you personally might be interested in the area. So in Pulaski County, Somerset's the seat, we're the main city, but right on the east of us here, southeast of us, is a town called Burnside in our Pulaski County. And in 2014, there was actually a report, someone reported it to the MUFON website even, of a flying stingray that was seen flying from the direction of Lake Cumberland over these guys' house at about 2:30 in the morning. They said that the stingray was about 150 feet wide, and that when it was directly over top of them, it was even slightly see-through. Like, as it undulated over them, they could literally see the stars through this thing, but still clearly see the outline of the stingray. And I thought that was something you personally might be interested in.
Oh, yeah. Just send goosebumps all down me because of the blue stingray I saw on the bottom of a UFO. Yeah, just freak me out a little bit like that. I do appreciate that. Thank you. So now we have flying stingrays over Somerset, Kentucky, where there's no ocean water for thousands of miles. That's always good. That's nice and weird. That's some good woo right there, my friend. That's some good woo right there. With all of this activity in the town, Kyle, are people in Somerset very passive about all of this supernatural phenomena? Do they just shrug it off? Are they talking about their own experiences? Like, if you went out to one of the pubs on a Friday or Saturday night, is this a point of conversation?
So what we really think is very strange about the area, Nate hit on it a little bit, is that there almost seems to be a cognitive dissonance. There's legitimate, not even on the paranormal side of things, there's been murders happen in this town publicly that are still unsolved after 25 years. And if you go to a local bar or somewhere and just ask people about these murders, half the people that have grown up in this town are like, what are you even talking about? There's some sort of blanket fog over a lot of the memories of the weirdest things in this town. So definitely because of the museum, we've gotten more stories brought to us than ever before. And we are even able to see like trends, like Nate mentioned, the Black Panthers. Like, there's an area of our county that we've had over a dozen reports, not even looking for it, of these Black Panther sightings. And these type of people that come into the museum to talk about it, like, it's clear that they're not there, to be tourists. They're not there to learn about ghosts or look at the haunted leprechaun. They're there to find someone that's not going to judge them on their, for all intents and purposes, ridiculous story. They just want to find someone that will listen to them. And so, of course, we do. And because of that, like, we've gotten so many more of these stories that when we go out and try to ask about them, people just shut down. But now that we have, like, an outlet for people, they're getting brought up more. Like in Hellier season 1, they talk about, they ask these people, have you ever seen anything weird? No. Are you sure? No. And then, well, there was that one time this UFO was over the town for 4 hours. Like, so once you kind of get a catalyst in, especially with, like, local people in the community, then eventually they won't shut up with this. Like, we have so much rich folklore of this stuff that you have to really, like, it's not readily accessible in the collective unconscious. You really have to dig for it, but you can usually find something if you dig long enough.
Yeah, my town is much the exact same. Actually, pretty much everybody in British Columbia is the exact same, because nobody really wants to admit that they've had an experience. They want to make fun of the subject first, and then all of a sudden you get that, do you really believe in this stuff? And you'll be like, yeah, I do. And they'll be like, well, There was this one time a few years ago, we heard this noise, or we saw something in the sky. It's amazing how the minute you break through that wall with people, Kyle, they just open up, and that's where the best stories are lying.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite stories out of anyone that came through the museum was probably a few months after we opened. We opened in 2017, so I'm sure that this was at latest like February of 2018. It was an older guy, honestly, just a quick judgment, not someone you would think would ever come through the Paranormal Museum. He was in his 60s. He just didn't strike you as having a Fortean bone in his body. And he came and he was interested and listened to the tour, and then eventually brought up this story that I will never forget, that when he was young, growing up in part of this county, he saw a squirrel. He had his rifle. He was out in the woods as a teenager and saw a squirrel hop up on a tree stump. And so he aimed his rifle and he shot the squirrel, and the squirrel didn't move. It just kind of looked at him and went back to eating whatever it was eating. And this guy just aimed again, and eventually, when it was all said and done, he had destroyed the tree stump the squirrel was sitting on. There's chunks of it everywhere, and the squirrel just still sat there.
Oh, wow, man. Kyle Kadel, Nathan Isaac. Strange Somerset is our talk tonight. We're going to learn about their museum, and we're going to start getting into Hellier right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chide and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you'd know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hello everyone. This is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Lots of snow outside. We got 5 inches of snow overnight. 5 inches. I'll tell you, my snowblower worked perfectly today. Perfectly. I'm so happy I have that. But the snow is supposed to come back tonight. Oh, my goodness. Keep me busy and working. Hey, if you're snowed in, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we got a plethora of features for you that you can check on out while you're listening to the show. We are talking with Kyle Kadel, who owns the International Paranormal Museum and Research Center in Somerset, Kentucky. His research partner, Nathan Isaac, is here with us as well. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Welcome back. Thank you, Dave.
So we officially know your town is weird and strange, but a lot of people may not have really known who you guys were until this past year when Greg and Dana Newkirk and a few other of the team members from the Hellier team showed up and said, hey, we want to interview you guys. Tell us how that went.
Well, first off, obviously, the Planet Weird team's been posting like snippets of this story since it first started unraveling in 2012 when they first got the first David Christie emails. And so I've been super into the story literally since then. And I can't even tell you how many times before Hellier came out, we talked, like in the museum during tours, we've talked about with guests, Are the Goblins Back? This group led by Greg and Dana are investigating. They got these emails. Like we've talked about this forever. And then I actually got to meet Greg and Dana in either 2017 or 2018 at CryptidCon, which is a conference here in Kentucky about just all the high strangeness. And even back then, he had a couple weird questions that, I mean, I didn't think anything of them back then, but he asked me, do you know someone in Somerset named Doug that would know who we are and want people to get a hold of us? Like, even back then, he had these questions. And, I mean, frankly, I didn't, and I just was wonderful. I thought it was wonderful to get to meet them and, like, talk about museum stuff together. And honestly, not much happened after that. Like 2 years goes by and Hellier season 1 comes out. And obviously I was a huge fan of it. It was like very high quality. I thought it was awesome, especially that it's, just pumping up the weirdness level of Kentucky. And then fast forward to September of 2019 here, we got a Facebook message, or I got a Facebook message from Greg, just not really about Hellier, just talking about museum stuff. And eventually he said, we're going to be in the area in a few days. Would you mind like showing us the museum? And no, of course, that'd be amazing. And so they come in town on a Monday, I believe, and it's Greg and Dana and Carl and Connor and Tyler. And they come through. I give them a tour of the museum. I bring my one cat because I know they're super into cats and I'm super into cats. And, I just bring the one cat to the museum. They love that. And we just start talking about weirdness in Kentucky. And, in 2012, when they're getting these emails, I actually lived in Eastern Kentucky for a while. I had a business in a town called Whitesburg, and Whitesburg is in Letcher County, which is the same county as Jenkins, where they stay in that cabin in season 1 and do the Estes method in season 1 on Hellier. And so fast forward to them coming through the museum, and I'm super excited to be able to tell them, like, I have a close encounter UFO story from Eastern Kentucky from that time period, and I have stories about weird things that are seen in Letcher County, where they were and where I lived. And like, so I'm super excited to talk to them about that. And they just keep on bringing it back to Somerset. And I thought, that's strange. But of course, I mean, we love Somerset. We ourselves think it's a weird place. And so I indulge him. I talk to him about all the crazy stuff that Nate mentioned, the baby dragon that has been seen. We mentioned the stingray. We mentioned, all the stuff that makes Somerset wonderful, the 37th parallel. And they just latch onto that and ask, like, okay, well, would you mind if we ask a few questions, come back and film in a few days? And of course, I don't mind. Like, that's the most amazing thing. Like, I was so honored. So they came back and they said, do you have anyone else that would be good for this? And obviously Nathan here is the first person I thought of. He definitely is better at collecting local stories and making an overall picture with these stories rather than picking out a ghost story like I have done or a cryptid sighting. He came up with this whole like overarching narrative for this stuff. So we talked to them. They come back in a few days. After Hellier came out, we find out that in those few days they're having the crazy channeling hypnosis sessions and everything in the county. And so they come back and film. And I mean, obviously they had to really edit down what we all talked about. But I mean, even just with Nathan's part, we had a 5-hour-long conversation about the weirdness of Somerset. And at the very end of it all, they gave us the first clues of why they were here in Somerset, that they received the emails from Amy, and that they had tied the Hellier stuff in with Somerset. And I mean, that blew our minds. Like, that literally Nate had done work leading up to that point. And so it was validating, if nothing else, that these outside investigators come to Somerset, a place where we knew it was strange, and they come on completely different avenues than what we were on, and we're all led to similar conclusions about what a crazy place this is.
Yeah, and Dave, like, it was really crazy too. That moment in the show where they're freaked out, and they're like, I think it's Connor that says he wants to get out of there, get out of here. That was right after we had that conversation, and that was the thing. It's like we had been researching this story for this podcast called Pennyroyal, and so we had discovered all this stuff, and I thought, man, there's no way, this is too crazy. There's no way that any of this is real. And then they came and they're talking to us, and I tell them all the paranormal stuff, and so Greg's like, well, so what do you think's going on? And I'm like, well, let me tell you all the crime stuff, and then let's take it together. So I told him all that stuff, and that's when he stopped us and said, well, let me tell you about these emails from this girl named Amy that no one knows about. And he tells us, and it absolutely confirmed all of this crazy stuff that we were researching.
Yeah.
And it was like, and it scared us, like absolutely freaked me out, because all the things that I didn't want to believe were true, suddenly they were telling me things as an outside party that they had found, and then I was telling them things that they had found out that they were like, oh my God, this confirms what we were looking at from this other angle. And it was just this moment of, are we all safe here? Like it was crazy. It was crazy. So,
gentlemen, I want to ask you, and Nathan, we could start with you on this one. There is a lot of people out there in the paranormal and supernatural community that absolutely love what is happening with Hellier. I have gone on record and I have no problem backing this up, saying that I believe that they are onto something massive here, and it's more than just about the paranormal or supernatural or ghosts or whatever. Okay, it is something very, very interesting that I think they're opening up to. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I think they are leading a real direction into the new wave of how paranormal phenomena is going to be researched in the future. That being said, there are a lot of critics out there, and they have absolutely roasted this team for being fake, for being, setting this up to try and that this whole Hellier thing is about money. It has nothing to do with investigation or anything along those lines. As being a part of this team or this documentary series, as you guys are now, and you're associated with it now, tell me about the reality of this. Did you guys get any sense of that, or was it very, very surreal?
Well, I'll tell you, Dave, like, it's definitely like everything that they've done it is absolutely real. There are a lot of things that, like, they have absolutely not revealed everything. And after they left too, it's really strange because, we were already doing this story that was about, a year in the life of this town. And things were strange. We were finding all of these strange things and having these strange synchronicities. And then when they came to town and validated some of the threads that we had found, definitely for me, when they set out to make this, and I think Greg has joked about this on in other interviews, that they're making a show about finding aliens, or finding little green men. And when you set out to find ghosts or Sasquatch or aliens, you're never going to have a resolution to those stories. So I think that's what sets the Hellier series, and what was so great about what they did was that they approached it in terms of high strangeness. In terms of is there something greater going on in terms of reality, and I think that's why Alan Greenfield is so germane to this. And a lot of what we're researching and what happened after they left that we haven't talked to, Greg or any of these guys about this stuff yet, is that there was this whole insanity and this crazy layering of synchronicities and things that happened that it's undeniable that something is happening. I don't know what is happening. And we have interviewed a ton of people that have taken us in a totally non-paranormal direction that relates to it's just incredible. I mean, it's so strange, and it's all factual, and the work they're doing, it's real. I mean, they're trying to figure out why all of this is leading them here, and we also are trying to figure out why it's taken us in the same direction, and what is happening. And you wonder if it doesn't involve some large scale ceremonial magic or something happening that is creating all of these effects, that there's some type of structure, greater structure moving. And because I think that's the strangest thing that I've discovered in interviewing a lot of people since Hellier came out. And even people, we've had a lot of people contact us, and a lot of people want to know more about Somerset and know more about our research. And when I talk to these people, and if you read the Reddit thread, for Hellier, all these people feel connected in a strange way. They feel like somehow they're personally a part of all of this, this thing that's happening, that the tendrils of this are extending out of the Hellier story, out of the story that Greg and Dana are telling, and into their lives. And that, in a way, is sort of signifying that there is this greater structure or greater movement. We know that the OTO and the Greenfield, has mentioned that they have tried to do large scale, cultural ceremonies, to affect reality, and how do we know that that's not what all of this is? That we're seeing all these synchronicities, but these synchronicities are really, these sort of little, I don't know, the evidence that something's happening, that there's a larger scale movement that maybe we're not all aware of.
Yeah. And really, to add to that, like, Nate and I both love a good story. I would never have called us conspiracy theorists ever. We are, grounded in some form of reality. It might not be everyone's reality, but we still, I would never have called us conspiracy theorists. But some of the stuff that we have found out that directly ties into what Amy was saying in Hellier, and again, we had no idea of any of that stuff until the series dropped. Like, they told us what they said on camera about Amy sending them emails, but all the craziest stuff about her story, about it being some multinational conspiracy, sounded just as crazy to us as it probably did to most viewers. And I kid you not, Dave, the more stuff that we find when we look into this, it seems like these conspiracies are true. Like, we daily now talk about things that 4 months ago we would have thought we were insane for even halfway believing. And we just keep on finding breadcrumb after breadcrumb that add into this just gigantic conspiracy that has tied Somerset to a JFK assassination, to eugenics, to multinational conspiracies, the Nazis, and all of this is just from these weird breadcrumbs led for one trail after another from basically the same type of witness as that Amy person. Like, just one unbelievable story has led to enough circumstantial evidence to create just this overall conspiracy that makes us question our own sanity.
One of the things that in hearing what you guys are saying that comes to mind is the synchronicities. As we got about 5 minutes here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Kyle, why do you think so many people that you have talked to regarding Hellier believe that somehow their lives are revolving around this? I've never really seen a paranormal documentary or UFO documentary have that type of impact where people believe that they are involved or being signaled now after watching this.
Yeah, and it's absolutely crazy. Obviously, Nathan and I both had an extremely small part in the overall documentary, but even the crossover that we've gotten, we have people that come to the museum or people that come to Nathan's studio and just, hey, I grew up in one of these areas and my grandpa saw these aliens. I always heard rumors of this going on, which ties into it. And it's just so weird that these weird strands, it's not even, like we talked about, it's a small community, and it would be weird if we just did a normal run-of-the-mill ghost hunting documentary, but we were in a documentary that overarches magic and beings from other dimensions, and there is some sort of tie-in that, obviously synchronicities happen to everyone, and you just pay attention to it on different ways, but anyone that has been, for lack of a better term, initiated through the Hellier viewing has learned to pay attention to these synchronicities more than I think most of them ever have. And so these ideas of, a personal one for my girlfriend is her and her family, ever since her grandfather died a few years ago, they constantly find dimes everywhere, and they are having a hard time, or hard day, and they find a dime like right in their path. And that's obviously a synchronicity that to the next person over is meaningless, but that's because synchronicities are personal things, and you don't really even pay attention to them until you're initiated into the overall picture. So the idea that Hellier has just brought, like, the idea of these signs to the forefront of people's minds, I think is really added to it. That there's people that have just tiny pieces of the puzzle, that have seen a creature like this, that have known someone named Christy, that have, you know, possibly known someone that fits Terry Reese's description. Like, it makes them want to be involved in this in a way that, like you said, there's never been any other ghost hunting show or anything that has been so approachable.
And also, Dave, I think in a non-paranormal way too, they're just telling a story that's really personal, and I think that's something new in this industry, in the paranormal industry, and in investigations. They're telling a story that's really personal, and I think people are connecting on a really personal level with it. And in that way, it almost seems magnified. The magic of it is magnified, but really, it's not magic. It's just that they're just really human beings who are discovering things, and we're discovering things with them. And I think that's what makes it so different than everything else that's out there right now.
And that's the interesting part is that personal connection, that quest. I mean, it's almost like this team has this paranormal platoon around it now, guys. And it's kind of interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, the type of people that, well, even people that have come in to the museum. Just, I saw Hellier. I'm from Pike County. I went to that location and I experienced this. We have people send in transcripts of their Estes methods that they've done in some of these areas. And it's because there is something reaching out to, there's more than just an entertainment factor here. Like the way that the show is shot, like you even feel like you're in the passenger seat discovering this stuff with them, and that just helps draw you in and make you realize that the mystery is all around you. That, like, I mean, yeah, we're lucky enough to live in Somerset where there's a lot of weird stuff, but that doesn't mean that anywhere else in the world is any less valued at this kind of stuff. You know, that this magic is here all around you if you start looking for it.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to get you to sit tight here because, you know, we only got about 25 seconds before we have to go to break at the top of the hour, and it is so strange. We're going to continue the Hellier talk, but we're going to learn a little bit more about some of the strangeness that's going on in Somerset. Is there really goblins? Who is Amy? Do these guys know? Bigfoot? UFOs? Is there rituals and sacrifices going on in the forests and caves? Did Pan ever show up? And how many blue balloons do Nathan and Kyle collect and put around hiding around town? Kyle Kadel, Nathan Isaac from the International Paranormal Museum and Research Center in Somerset, Kentucky. Strange Somerset continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thieme. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today. Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on our terrestrial stations, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, we're proud to broadcast on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Turophile. Turophile is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, grab a great book from We Read the Night, join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. We are talking with Kyle Kadel and Nathan Isaac. They are part of the International Paranormal Museum and Research Center in Somerset, Kentucky. Now, if you're a fan of Hellier 2, you will know that Somerset plays a very pivotal role in the second season's investigations. And these two gentlemen were interviewed by Greg Newkirk, Dana Newkirk, and the rest of the Hellier team. Kyle, Nathan, welcome back.
Well, thanks for having us, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
For the majority of us out there, we have no clue what this cave system is all about. We have no clue about this legend of goblins. Kyle, why don't you fill us in about this cave system and the alleged goblins that are wandering through there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously, Kentucky, we have one real national park, and that is Mammoth Cave. And Mammoth Cave is not the largest opening of a cave anywhere. I believe that's in Vietnam. But it is the largest known cave system with over 400 miles of caves that they know of that all connect there. And in addition to that, all of Appalachia has cave systems to it. And not only caves, but there's been a history of mining, obviously all in our state, for coal mostly, but other resources. And Somerset is right smack dab in the middle of where the Mammoth Cave system and Appalachia is. We are south central Kentucky, and we're about a 2-hour drive to Hellier, a little over 2-hour drive to Hopkinsville or Mammoth Cave. And obviously one of the most famous goblin sightings, actually what earned the term Goblins for Kentucky, is the 1955 case of the Kelly Little Green Men, or the Hopkinsville Goblins. And that case factors a lot into the current Hellier case. Basically, some people saw a UFO. After that, they saw 12 to 15 of these little 3-foot tall creatures that glowed in the dark. They shot at them, and they were bulletproof. And these creatures just attacked a house. And after that night, were never seen in the area again. So one of the many theories that kicked off the whole Hellier thing is, what if these goblins, what if these creatures have been here the whole time? There's a huge cave in Hopkinsville, right where it was seen, where these goblins were seen. And so what if these beings weren't, number one, they could have not been from outer space the entire time. They could have been underground beings. And what if there's something that live in these caves? So obviously the Mammoth Cave, like I said, is over 400 miles, but most of that's not been mapped. And really, that's just a good estimate. So there's a good chance that all of our caves, like we're in what's called a karst area, where there's just a high volume of caves, of sinkholes, of underground water sources, and all of basically the Pennyroyal Plateau is one of these karst areas. And the idea is, what if these cave systems just go on? So obviously in Hellier, it started with these emails in 2012 of these, for lack of a better term, goblins coming out of an abandoned mine and terrorizing this family. And they match almost exactly with these goblin encounters of 1955. And in the meantime, there's been other creatures like this seen. They mention in Hellier, like the Tommyknockers, the Dover Demon even, it almost matches this exactly. And in addition to that, there's a lot of ideas of underground worlds. And, well, for instance, Agartha is one of the big ones. Agartha is supposed to be this land of highly advanced people that a representative has even come from Agartha. I think her name was Tamarinda Masan, and she is in Romania, and she's teaching the ways of life of the underground societies. It's promoting humanity to move to the next evolutionary step. And in these maps of Agartha, there's several entrances to the underground world, and one of them is, you guessed it, in Mammoth Cave. So there's an old history of Mammoth Cave being just an entrance to this other world. There's been giants found there. There's been goblins seen in the area. So what if all of our caves here hook into just some mysterious world? And it could be a physical land of Agartha that's under our feet, or maybe it's a way to cross into another dimension, that you're going through these portals and ground, and really you're not going deep into the earth, but you're going into an alternate dimension where these beings could live. So that's really the basis of what these creatures are, that started off the whole Hellier investigation.
How often have these goblins been seen in recent years?
Not a whole lot that has been recorded, at least in the state of Kentucky. I mean, we have a lot of strange things, but the goblins mainly just disappeared in Kentucky after Hopkinsville and then resurfaced in 2012. And again, that's supposing it's the same creatures. We've had several UFO sightings and alien and extraterrestrial sightings of grays even. Grays, one of the most famous abductions in the state was in 1976 in right outside of Stanford, Kentucky. And that's half an hour or less from where we're sitting now. And in that case, the ladies that were abducted actually had regression therapy paid for by the National Enquirer. And part of what they remembered is these little beings that match very closely to these goblins. And so are these goblins aliens? Are they underground beings? Are they interdimensional beings? Or is it all the exact same thing that we just don't have a blanket term for?
Well, that's what's very interesting is that these claims of goblins, Nathan, seem to be absolutely everywhere through Kentucky. And, we get just a glimpse of it in the Hellier and Hellier 2 series. But with that, do a lot of people believe in this, Nathan, or do they believe it's just some sort of supernatural folklore?
After Hellier came out, and this actually happened earlier this week, or last week, I guess, toward the end of the week, I was here at the studio, and a guy came in. Our studio is located above Jarfly Brewing, so it's kind of a nice little studio, with a bar beneath it. And we were downstairs in between production, and these guys come in, and he's like, "Hey, man, I saw you on Hellier. I'm from here in Somerset, and I've seen the goblins." And then he launches into this story about how when he was a kid, he lived in that area that they were at, and that he had seen these creatures. And there's a cave out behind this property that he lived on, and they were going back and forth between the cave and a barn and coming and terrorizing him. And he said they terrorized his family so much while he was a child that they moved. And he, could take us back, could, show us this place. So you hear things like that. And I guess the craziest thing that we've heard, which it really set us off in a strange direction, was that we interviewed a lady who alleges that she was part of a satanic cult as a child, and that they engaged in, ceremonial magic that summoned creatures that looked like the Hopkinsville Goblins. And of course, when we ask her about this, she says, "Well, honey, those aren't aliens; they're demons." And so there we are, with this lady who's saying, "Yeah, we've seen those things. I've seen those things, but they're not from outer space. They're from a much darker place." And those are, you hear that whole spectrum of stories, and there are a lot of them. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, especially like we mentioned, the just very religious Christian construct of the idea, or of the place around here, that like maybe these things have been seen a lot more, but it's like Nathan just mentioned, they're thought of in a demon way instead of extraterrestrials or ultra-terrestrials. And so a good Christian would want to put no more thought towards that, even if they did see this. If they associated it with a demon, it just kind of leaves their mind, because that's not something that they're willing to go around and tell all their Christian friends, like, "Hey, we just saw this demon manifest with glowing yellow eyes,"
I do want to say this too, Dave, and we've, an issue with all of this is that, is there a cult here in town? We've been researching all kinds of crazy stuff, and if you read the Reddit thread on Hellier, people go nuts over, "Oh my God, there's a cult killing children. We need to call the state police. We need to send people in here. People need to be arrested." Amy in Hellier, the way she's talking about the whole situation, the story she paints, it's like a Wicker Man story. Everyone in town is involved in this conspiracy. And, do I think that's true? No, I don't think so. I think what's really going on is way stranger than that. And way weirder, and in a way that people wouldn't normally think. And it's too simple to say there's a satanic cult or whatever it is, that there's a cult. I think, and from what we've discovered, it's way, way stranger than that. That's not what's going on. But you really want to caution people, and they kind of had to do that in the Reddit thread. I think Greg even posted into saying you can't rush down to Somerset and start running around on people's private property. You'll get shot, and I think that has been a kind of a weird facet of this, is that it's great to have people come down and explore the area and engage in the strangeness that's here, which I think, depending on how you engage with it, that's what you're going to get out of it. But people have to be careful, and people can't just assume that there's this, we've got to send the army in and start burning houses,
Yeah, and last week I talked to John Tenney about this, and John was saying to me that the Hellier crew has been so inundated with people trying to get information, people going to Hellier and Somerset now and running around on people's properties, that it is getting a little bit ridiculous. And Greg and Dana actually feel pretty bad, and the rest of the crew feels pretty bad for what's happening, because they didn't mean for that to happen with the community.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't think about it at the time, too, because, for us, these are stories we tell all the time. These are stories that we've collected, as folklore from interviews with people in town. And so, it's the town you live in, and you don't expect it to get this type of attention, and in a sense, it's like everyone else has found our secret of how kind of magical this place is. Because, and I think that's the thing too, I don't think people should look at Somerset and think, oh my God, how do people live in a town like that? There's murders and disappearances and evil people, but that's not really, what's happening. And I think, again, what's happening here is just way, way stranger. And I mean, you just don't expect people to take up arms and so much and just really rush down here. And it's been great that people are here and they're exploring the area and learning about the area, and that's great to have that attention. But yeah, I mean, it's the age of the internet, I mean, people come out of the woodwork, that are just, I don't know, doing crazy stuff. So
you live in the community, guys, and in the Hellier 2 series, there's two very awkward not names that are awkward, but scenarios where names come up, and those scenarios are a little awkward. One is Amy and one is Doug. And I'm curious, do either of you know who Amy and Doug are on a personal level, and you buy the stories that go along with them?
So personally, we do not know either of the people. We've never met them or talked to them about any of this kind of strangeness. We do know the identity of Amy, and we have a couple ideas on the identity of Doug that may or may not be accurate. But we definitely know. Well, should we mention?
Well, yeah. I mean, we do know. Again, I don't think there's a Wicker Man conspiracy. It's interesting that Amy mentioned. Obviously, when she begins to talk about all this stuff, she mentions a Green Man and Beltane, and obviously the Green Man writes, Beltane is really a holiday for the Green Man. So when she says that in Hellier, I think personally, she had some knowledge of what Beltane really was and what the Green Man was. But then she later changes that story and starts talking about green men, right? But when she mentions the cabin and the fact that there's a cabin with an elevator in it, and a lot of people are like, well, why didn't they go find that place? Well, I mean, it's not an easy place to find, but it does exist. I mean, we did find the cabin. Like, that was definitely after the show came out. We saw that, we heard that, and then we started to investigate to see, well, is there a cabin? Is anything that she's saying true? Yeah. And we really did find the cabin and confirmed that it does have a lift that goes down into the cave system beneath it.
Well, nothing scary about that. But I mean, when you're getting into rituals, and we only got about 3.5 minutes before we go to break here, when you're getting into rituals and the scenarios that come along with that, that's scary. Okay, that takes the whole paranormal scene to an entirely different level that a lot of people, myself included, do not even want to deal with, because in our opinion, at least in mine, that's something for the police, that's something for the FBI, the CIA, or whoever investigates those type of cases. That's not for a paranormal investigator to be searching for something along the lines of sexual or rituals or any type of ritual along that extent where people are potentially dying in regards to those scenarios. Is that really going on in your town?
So we can't definitively say yes or no. I mean, personally, I can't imagine that there really is this overarching cult. We have found circumstantial evidence for some of this, but nothing that would ever truly convince me that it's a massive cover-up with murders in the area and these... I mean, even if there's rituals going on here, I don't necessarily think it has this evil spin that has been given it, or even is assumed with the idea of secret societies.
And we're the ones that are telling, they found the same stories while they were researching this, and then we had also heard the same stories, and that's what we kind of confirmed for each other. But it's funny because we just talked to a guy a couple towns over from here, right? And he interviewed us about the strangeness in Somerset, and then he started to talk about his hometown. And his hometown has these same stories of this powerful upper echelon of politicians and doctors and attorneys, and they were engaged in this, crazy cult activity, and then 2 people ended up murdered. That sounds exactly like the stories we have heard here, right? And then that's an hour away, and he tells us this, and I'm like, is this some type of regional folklore? Is this some type of, but we are finding people with these stories. And definitely there were, the Bluegrass Conspiracy that happened in central Kentucky that Sally Denton wrote. And that's a really famous book. And definitely there were drugs flowing into central Kentucky from South America. A lot of very powerful people were involved in it. I think that definitely probably extended through Kentucky. And I think a lot of murders in the 80s and 90s, during this time period, were associated with drugs and drug smuggling and human trafficking in this area. And that sort of all has gotten mixed together with the Satanic Panic and a lot of crazy ritualistic stuff. And now people have this underlying folklore in the community where they're saying, "Oh yeah, I know someone who knows someone who knows someone, that was murdered." And you're like, okay.
Gentlemen, you guys hold on. Kyle Kadel, Nathan Isaac, Strange Somerset continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Are Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have you with us tonight. Reminder, if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Guess what? You could tune on in and check out what we're all about while you're listening to the show. Tonight we are talking with Kadel and Nathan Isaac from the International Paranormal Museum and Research Center in Somerset, Kentucky. We're talking about strange Somerset tonight. And if you're just tuning on in, make sure you hit the archives for this one. These guys are great. Absolutely great when it comes to telling stories here. So Kyle, Nathan, thanks for being awesome guests. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for asking us. We've really enjoyed it so far.
We're having a lot of fun tonight, man. We're having a lot of fun with you guys tonight. I got to, ask you, and we're kind of sticking with the whole Hellier theme here, because this is what has brought you guys out to the entire paranormal party. Yes, you had this really cool thing going, but now it's a totally different mindset for what you guys are having to do now. I want to ask, before we get more into the stories here, how has Hellier changed what you guys are now doing with the museum?
Well, we've actually, obviously we've had, I guess you could call it the Hellier bump. We've definitely had people that come in specifically to talk synchronicities, to tell their stories of related phenomenon and their personal experiences with this. And that's been incredible. It's always been one of my favorite parts of owning the museum, of it being like a hub where people feel comfortable telling these things that they don't feel comfortable with in any other setting, And we've just had so many more people bring this in. And, to be honest, like I said earlier, I got my start with ghost hunting. Like Greg and Dana say, like, this, obviously ghost hunting leaves you wholly unprepared for investigating secret societies and supposed murders and cult rituals and stuff. So it has definitely changed us into, I've always been on the John Keel super spectrum side of things, where I've always thought there was a relationship between all high strangeness. The paranormal activity from ghosts to UFOs can all be joined together. Well, for instance, like sulfur. Supposedly sulfur, the smell of sulfur arises with demons. And the smell of, like, when a UFO is seen to completely disappear out of an area, people report the smell of sulfur. And some Men in Black characters have to take quote unquote sulfur pills in order to be able to live in our dimension. And and Bigfoot is said to have a sulfurous smell. And like, why does all of this random stuff have that one tie if it's not somehow connected with each other? And that's really what, like, Hellier has even brought more to light. Like, I've always had that belief. I've always been, like I said, on the John Keel side of things, where it is some overarching intelligence, or at least some overarching reality that this all makes sense in. And Hellier has just really brought that to the forefront, that people now, obviously we still get our classic customers that some of them come in because they're into ghost hunting and they want to hear about the haunted and cursed objects and they want to hear about the craziest ghost I've ever seen or whatever. And I'm more than happy to talk about that. But now more and more people come in asking, what does it all mean? You know, looking for an overall answer with, you know, my grandmother practiced country magic, like backwoods magic, and then her spirit was seen all the time. And what connection do these have? And so there's definitely there's a lot bigger part of that. I mean, of course, with the museum, we've always covered, a lot of people, the word paranormal just means ghosts. And we've always, you know, we're more of a high strangeness museum. We cover all aspects of the paranormal, ghosts, Bigfoot, aliens, all of it together. And so it definitely, like, the Hellier mindset gels well with what we're doing. And it just kind of accents a little bit more the underlying webs that connect it, and kind of makes us reach out. Like, now when we're trying to beef up our library at the museum, we're not just getting more like haunted West Virginia books. We're getting Joseph Campbell, The Power of Myth, and Crowley books, and books about geomagnetic stresses and the effects it has on the human brain, and all these things that, you know, 15 years ago when I started ghost hunting, I would have scoffed at someone that did this, you know. And now it's just brought that all to light and make all the weird things gel together. That's really what this has done.
Speaking of cryptids and Bigfoot in the area, how often is Sasquatch seen?
He actually has a pretty good presence around here. I, for the first time in my life, actually going into one of the areas that they go to in Hellier, I, for the first time in my life, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, found Bigfoot structures, stick structures. I've never seen anything like that before in reality, ever. And I go out with a couple friends to some caves in the area, and as we're hiking away from the caves, we just find this little quarter-acre plot of land where literally every stereotypical Bigfoot stick structure that you've ever seen, like the X's and the arches and the asterisks and basically everything you can think of, is just all in this tiny area. And like I said, I've never, ever ran into something like that. And what's really weird about that, Dave, is it is in an area where a cave is that they talk about in Hellier. And in the same area, there have been ghost lights forever. And we just actually in this area learned about a rumor of an FBI training center out in the middle of nowhere that apparently if you drive up to, you get guns pulled on you. And like, this is just all in one weird area of the county. But, we have, actually in our museum, Dave, we have Bigfoot footprints found in our county by a guy named Thomas Shea out of northern Kentucky. He found them under a bridge here called Fishing Creek Bridge about 13 years ago. And that is one of our 4 main areas where there's been continual Bigfoot sightings. There's the Fishing Creek area. There's the Keno Monster. There's this area I was just talking about where eyewitness reports have the Bigfoot in that area about 15 feet tall. And then in addition is the white, similar Bigfoot creature that Nathan's already mentioned with the glowing red eyes. That it's very similar to one of the tan Bigfoots, but it has that just extra oomph of the glowing red eyes that you get with the more ultra-dimensional beings.
See, around here, we get the reports of 7 to 10 feet tall, and a lot of the First Nations in our area tend to believe that the creature is supernatural. in some way or another. Do you get that in your area too, or do you believe you're just dealing with a physical monster?
We definitely get that in the area where there's this old guy, Gary, in the area that has some pretty great stories that he has blessed us with. But one of his favorite theories is that Bigfoot is just the alien's pet. We only see him when the UFOs stop and let him pee on the planet. So he is wholehearted that it's its own species that's similar to a dog or whatever. But we get a lot of people in the area, and I mean, I guess I'm partially responsible because it's what I subscribe to, that say that the Bigfoot's paranormal aspect, he's an ultra-dimensional being, he's an alien, he's something where he's not here full-time in the area.
Now, as he said, also to peruse the cave system.
Oh, that is a good question. That one place I mentioned earlier with the Bigfoot stick structures, that's in an area that's very heavy with cave entrances. So that wouldn't surprise me much at all. Although the idea that we talked about with one of our friends, Clay, 2 weeks ago, is what if these Bigfoot stick structures are even like a way that they make these portals to get in and out of our dimension here? That somehow, like, or you could build one of these stick structures and actually summon one of these creatures. And maybe that's where it is. But the idea that the portal entrances are in the caves actually go pretty well with the rest of the Kentucky folklore as well. So they might not be going up into the saucers. They might be going down into the portals in the caves.
Interesting. Very interesting. Back to Hellier for a second, guys, and then we're going to change topics after this. Nathan, we'll start with you. What do you think is really going on with this Hellier team?
I mean, in terms of the whole story, I do, and I'm basing this purely on our own investigation. And again, a lot of just it's strange how many things have lined up, and I'll mention this. I do a lot of film production, and again, we've got a studio above Jarfly Brewing, and so I've been working on a project with a really famous Kentucky artist named Dan Dutton, and Dan is a painter, a sculptor. He's the only Kentucky recognized opera composer, and he created an opera back in 2007, 2008, that was called The Faun, and it involved, a retelling of Nijinsky's performance of The Afternoon of the Faun. And while he was researching that, he had a trip to Elkhorn City in eastern Kentucky, and while he was there, he had this strange encounter with Pan, and with the archetype of Pan. And not in a paranormal sense so much, but more so this liminal state that was provoked by his engagement with art. And it's a super strange story. He told me about it, and I was like, Dan, we've got to recreate the Faun, recreate this journey that you were on, where you had this Fae encounter, where you had this encounter with this strange intelligence in eastern Kentucky. And so we started working on it, calling the project Elkhorn, and it culminates with us going to Elkhorn City and recreating his performance of the Faun, his opera The Faun, with actors in Break Center State Park outside of Elkhorn City to summon and invoke the god Pan. So none of this was discussed with Greg or the team. Again, we didn't even know that Somerset was the focus of season 2.
Or that Pan had anything
to do with it. So then the show comes out, and literally I watch it, and the episode that we are in is called The Secret Commonwealth. Well, obviously that's also the name of the fairy book that was published in England, a century ago, but also it's the name of Dan's 4-part opera the Secret Commonwealth that was filmed over a decade by PBS. And it's this famous opera, Kentucky opera, called The Secret Commonwealth. And then in the final episode, they end up performing a ritual to invoke Pan. And that's when I was like, this is incredible. The synchronicities here are lining up with our whole thing, with the whole other projects we're working on. Suddenly now Pan is being brought up in Hellier. And it was totally out of left field. Greg hadn't mentioned any of this stuff. So when you start looking at this from above, you've got to start to think that something is absolutely happening. Something is influencing them. Something is influencing the Hellier crew. Something has been influencing our investigation and has been directing us to certain places. And there seems to be this movement, this structure that's attached to all of our actions. And whether we're helping to push the pieces into place, or if something else is pushing us and we're the pieces, I don't know. But it does seem, the way that this is all reverberating out into the paranormal community and just into the audience of people watching it, something absolutely is happening. And I don't think that it's little green men. I think it's something in a weird spiritual geography or some type of strange engineering of reality.
Yeah.
That we are only now beginning to discover. And I think they also are discovering, and it's kind of amazing. It's magical and it's mysterious, and and that's what I was trying to say about all the cult stuff and everything. It seems to be something else other than that. You can take it in a dark way, you can take it in a light way, but that's the way magic is. Magic can be light or dark, and whatever's happening right now is magical. It is this strange kind of magic, and it's all over the place, and it's affecting all of us right now.
It's a nice way to put it. Nice way to put it. Kyle, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I agree. Like, the things that have drawn us in. Well, I have a perfect for instance. As I mentioned earlier, we had no idea that the team was coming down to film until a week ahead of time, or really 3 days ahead of time, that they were going to film. And at that point in my own personal life of living in Somerset and thinking about the local area and everything, I was absolutely obsessed with the town spring that we visit in episode 9, with the pyramid and the story about whoever drinks the water will have the wisdom to return. I was obsessed with that, with the town spring and how weird that story is at that time. I mean, I still think it's a weird thing, but I just did all this investigation of all this weird stuff on the town spring. I mean, Fred Thrasher, the Kentucky artist, has actually done a print of the town spring here in Somerset before the pyramid or anything was built. And I was just everything I ate and breathed at that time was the town spring. And so, of course, the Hellier crew comes down, and I say, we got to go check out this weird thing in our town. And I force them it's 100 degrees, and I force them to walk the 3 or 4 blocks just to look at that pyramid and talk about how weird it was. And then they film it and leave, and pretty shortly after that, I kind of get over it. I mean, I still think the spring's weird, but I didn't obsess over it. And then Hellier comes out, and you can even see that it possibly had an integral role in that hypnosis session that they did with Carl. And we had no idea that they were doing anything like that. And specifically, that hypnosis session brought up a pyramid and a fountain together. And so I think that that's a perfect analogy for whatever this is, the phenomena if that's what you want to call it, uses all of us. Like, we are the pieces in this that we don't even understand the overarching thing, but that was something put a seed of the spring into my mind, and it bloomed into this whole almost future-telling event that may or may not have anything to do with the rest of the story, but it was just a weird confirmation of this stuff, you know? I really think that like I said, I don't think it's a cult necessarily, but there's something about the area that makes people think there's a cult, or there's something about the effect that this area has on us, or we have on this area, that has brought a phenomena that seems to be a greater than human intelligence in as a key player in all of our motives and investigations and our lives at this point.
In the next half hour, because we only got you for about another 30 minutes here, I want to get into the synchronicities, because we've mentioned a lot about synchronicities tonight, but I think that's kind of important, how it ties into your museum, how you guys have had synchronicities, and so on and so forth ever since this all happened. You know, as you guys start to move forward, Nathan, whether it's with your own investigations, whether it's with the museum or anything paranormal, supernatural, how has this entire experience over the last couple of months changed you, and how you are now reacting towards the paranormal?
Honestly, when I started working on the Pennyroyal project about the Pennyroyal Plateau and trying to document a year in the life of this town, it was very much about the town. And then something happened along the way, and definitely in the last few months, that pulled us into that story. And so, my relationship to a lot of this before all of this stuff had happened, it was, an observer, a researcher, dabbling in it, thinking about it. I love the paranormal. I love thinking about high strangeness. I love researching high strangeness because it's like researching quantum physics. It's this strange esoteric edge of the known, and that's exciting. But then at some point, we found ourselves inside the story. And I guess that's what's changed so much is it seems like every day or every couple days, something happens that takes this story a little bit further in another direction that we didn't expect. We were just talking to someone about this, and they said, what are you going to do after you tell this story, the Pennyroyal story and what you found in your research? And I told them, well, it hasn't stopped. Yeah. We keep finding out new things. And sometimes it feels like we've been over the same ground over and over and over again and know it. And then all of a sudden there's a new facet to it, as if almost reality shifted.
Yeah.
And so the relationship to it has all changed because it's all become way more personal for me now. It's not something I'm observing. It's something I'm taking part in. And I still don't understand it. And I still don't know where this is going to take us. But, we're along for the ride.
Yeah.
The adventure has begun. Hey, we have Kyle Kadel and Nathan Isaac here on Spaced Out Radio tonight. We got them for another 30 minutes in hour 3. Then we're going to get to the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this in hour 3.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightline Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website, and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there. The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the story you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiener. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chide and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you'd know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. Thank you so much for joining us around the world, wherever you are. My name is Dave Scott. Glad to broadcast to you live, especially if you're tuned in on WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, in Reedsport, Oregon, KDUN AM 1030, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, and down in Ridgecrest, California, KZFX 93.7 FM. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Remember, you could check out our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Turophile. Turophile is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Grab a great book from We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. For the final time tonight, I introduce our guest, Kyle Kadel, who owns International Paranormal Museum and Research Center, and his research partner, Nathan Isaac. They are out of Somerset, Kentucky, and this show is called Strange Somerset tonight, as we look into the strange and weird that we learned about through the series Hellier. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time with us tonight.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for inviting us, Dave. This has been awesome so far.
Yeah, it's been very, very cool. Very cool. Hey, I got a question coming from the Revolution Radio chat room, or pardon me, the LGAB chat room. And this comes from KSM, who is asking if you guys could describe what the Goblins look like.
Yeah. So there's one big discrepancy between the original Hopkinsville Goblin sightings in 1955 and the photos that David Christie sent to the Planet Weird team. That discrepancy is the ears. So both of them are about 2 to 3 foot tall beings. And in Hopkinsville, all of the eyewitnesses specifically drew a set of ears on these creatures. And in addition to that, their eyes in the original drawings almost look like a set of goggles. So the idea about this discrepancy is possibly if these are the same creatures, because what David Christie sent them photos of were more of a classic alien gray look, where it's seemed to be about the same height as these things. Oh, and one interesting side note is that both in the pictures that David Christie sent them and in the original Hopkinsville Goblins case, the creatures glowed. They had a glow about them. So that aspect matches. So one of the ideas that the Hellier team came up with is that possibly these ears and these goggle eyes were part of some sort of, for lack of a better term, spacesuit. It's something that they wore possibly to in the 50s because they just landed here and couldn't breathe our atmosphere or something like that. And now, if these are the same creatures, they may be acclimated to our atmosphere enough that they don't need this kind of suit. So that's why they may be lacking these ears and exact eyes from the original sightings. But it's worth noting that the goblins from the Hellier case match more classically, like I said, the alien grays, but also match the Dover Demon a lot closer and match Tommy Knockers a lot closer with the lack of the ears and everything.
Thank you for mentioning that. I wanted to get into synchronicities, guys, because you guys, as well as many viewers of Hellier, have had numerous synchronicities and strange things happen since this came out, Part 1 and Season 2. What synchronicities, Nathan, have you had happen since Hellier came out and you were a part of it?
Definitely working on the Elkhorn project with Dan Dutton. The fact that we were working, we've just been working so closely with all this pan material. I just did not expect to. And a lot of, if you look at Dan's work as an artist, a lot of it deals with pan.
Yeah. And
I think that was one of those things that out of nowhere, I was like, well, that's a strange thing that lines up. And just in terms of, there's a lot of stuff that we can't go into because of people's names that obviously, we were talking to you about off air a little bit, but it's just the way that the names of certain people have lined up, the names of places, the names of people that we know. And I'll tell you one thing that happened that was really, really strange to me, that while we were researching all this, after they left town, a couple months later, Kyle and I were deep into the pennyroyal research and uncovering lots of stuff that ultimately led us back to sort of what the Hellier team found. We ended up from a different direction arriving sort of in the same place. But it was after a night of research, and I'd gotten home and I was on my couch and I'd fallen asleep. And I woke up about 5:30 in the morning, and I was laying on the couch, and I have one of those ceiling fans that has like 4 lights that extend off of it. And one of the 4 lights had been burned out for about 3 months. And I'd just been lazy and hadn't changed that light bulb. And I was laying there and I was thinking about all of this and these synchronicities. And all of a sudden, that light bulb that had been burned out for 2 or 3 months started going zzz, zzz, and burning super bright. And I thought to myself, if that happens again, something's up, And sure enough, in that moment, there was this with the light bulb lighting up. It was just super strange. It was almost like a little wink from something that I see you, And again, it gets back to that whole idea of the phenomena that John Keel said, that we hear so much in the world of high strangeness, that idea that once you start looking at the phenomena starts looking back at you. It notices you. And I think that's the thing. It's just like this wellspring of synchronicities that are just kind of ushered forth after that. And the deeper we go and the closer we get to it, it's almost like a fractal pattern. The closer we get to the center of this whole structure, the more frequent the synchronicities are. And they've just increased and increased the closer and closer that we've gotten to the heart of the mystery.
Are you sure you just don't have Satan visiting?
I mean, it could be. I mean, if all of this boils down to a satanic cult, then, that
when they pull
You,
one
sir-
over, that's be good.
You, sir, have Satan. That's just the way it goes. Just the way it goes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, looking at it, how about you, Kyle? How has things been for you synchronicity-wise since everything has gone on?
Well, a lot of it I agree with Nathan. I mean, it's so strange that literally one of Nathan's main thesis about Pennyroyal is the whole theme is the area affecting the people, or the people affecting the area. And here comes these investigators that we know of, we're fans of their work, we respect what they do, and they come exactly to Somerset and are basically asking the exact same questions. Is this Amy woman crazy? And is she crazy because of where she is? Or is she part of the symptom that's making this a weird place? And so it's just so strange to me. And like, even beyond that, like we talked about, that the paths of our people that we have interviewed have led us exactly to the same place that the Hellier's paths have led them. And even beyond that, I've now made friends out of this whole Hellier phenomenon. We've had people that came through the museum, and that had spoken to them so much that we've developed these friendships, that we've went out and investigated these caves together, that we have gotten into even stranger things. These friends have even donated to the museum a selection of tin cans and Mylar balloons that they have found out in their investigations. Like they saw a Bigfoot X stick structure, and they go to the base of it and they found a tin can. And like they go to a cave that is geographically probably connected to one of the ones from Hellier, and they find a tin can, or they find a balloon right there. And it just seems like even more physical manifestations of whatever the phenomena is, saying that, yeah, you're a part of it too now, And it's just incredible, the kind of, I mean, synchronicity is the best word for it. That just the weird connections that have brought us to random people and random people to us, and the weird things that, like Nathan mentioned, that someone said, yeah, I grew up in that area. My grandpa always saw the hobgoblins. We have heard stories now of one of our cave creeks in the area, Short Creek, people literally seeing these goblin creatures in it. And it's the same cave that these like ghost fairy lights have been seen in. And it's all led to these exact same areas in our county. Our county's pretty large, and just the idea that all of these different avenues have led us to like one quadrant of our county that, interestingly enough, almost all of this weird phenomenon is exactly on the 37th parallel, which we talk about a little bit in Hellier, but it directly runs through our town and is directly where a lot of this weird stuff is centered, just on the 37th parallel here.
Do you believe a lot in the fact that so many people are claiming these synchronicities? I know we touched on it a little bit earlier in hour one of the show, but are there just coincidences, or do you think people are just, so hyped up about this that they're just trying to feel a part of it because it's so different?
I definitely think it's a little bit of both. And, something that Nathan and I have realized is some things that we've noticed locally that seem like synchronicities are actually feedback from ourselves doing these investigations, where we've talked and put into the public zeitgeist of these underground tunnels under our town that have led to the cult worshiping or whatever. And then we hear from someone saying the exact same thing, and at first we're like, holy crap, they're saying exactly the same thing. But then with just a couple of thoughts about it, we realize that there's a clear connection from us saying those things to those people, and they can say it right back to us. So I definitely think that there's aspects of both of it. We've gotten some weird Facebook friend requests and messages from people that just definitely want to insert themselves into the whole phenomenon. But then we've gotten genuine, like I said, friends out of this, that our lives are being changed by investigating this kind of stuff. And I definitely think there's a healthy mix of like genuine synchronicities and genuine phenomena, and then people that just want to see the synchronicities in their own life.
I want to ask, because I asked you this off the air before we started the show, and I want to get to it now. How has your community of Somerset responded to Hellier and Hellier 2? The reason why I'm asking is we learned from Hellier Season 1, there were a number of people in Hellier who were not too happy that their community was being portrayed that way.
I think, so far there hasn't been a huge impact. Definitely a lot of people have come down here asking questions and initiating their own investigations. Like, that's definitely a thing that's happening right now. That's always great for tourism, I'm not going to lie. It's great for people to, we live in it is a wonderful place to live. It's a really fascinating place, and, people should come here and people should discover the same sort of magic and the mysteries that we've discovered here. So far, beyond some people, coming down here and possibly trespassing, but, the caves, a lot of that stuff, those are all part of, a lot of them are part of a public cave system,
Yeah.
And there's a big cave conservancy program here that's called the Rock Castle Conservancy Program. And so, if anything, this is really putting a spotlight on the geographical and the natural beauty here, and people are coming down here to go caving.
Yeah.
People are they're caving and they're looking for aliens. They're looking for goblins, but really they're going out, they're leaving their computers behind, and they're engaging in adventures.
Yeah.
And so far, it's been a positive thing. I think there's always bad apples, but I think for the most part, this has been a good thing.
I think so too. Anytime you can have something like this and it increases interest in your community and brings in free tourism revenue, that's always a good time. It's always a good plan for any community.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as long as everybody has a good time and, treats everybody with respect, everybody should ask questions. And I hope more people come and talk about these things. But definitely, there is a real mystery here for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and to add to that, Somerset's really in this liminal state right now that, we have a new mayor that just got elected that is a younger person. He's our age, mid-30s. And we have more buildings being built in our community, like in our county, than ever before. Like, more building permits have been issued than ever before in the past couple of years. And we're growing, like our whole downtown is going from a dead, emptied place to a revitalized center for the community again. And so we're already in the middle of, my museum is not something that could have even existed in Somerset 5 years ago. And it's something that is now, I mean, I'd like to think it's essential to the fabric of our downtown, but like it's something that's welcomed, and we have a camaraderie with people in the area that, I mean, even if they're not into paranormal, they're into the uniqueness and the things that make Somerset magical even to them. And I really feel like we're part of that. And we are benefiting from this huge wave of positive magic that's like sweeping through our town and like has it alive like never before. So really, even if you take the paranormal aspect out of it, like we're still in the middle of this transitional period that like this county hasn't seen anything like this since the 40s, you know, like since we were the big town to stop at from Cincinnati to Knoxville, you know, like we used to in the 40s were a huge town and then completely got smaller and like industry left. And we're now in a place where it's a great time to be in Somerset.
Totally is. Gentlemen, we only have about 2.5 minutes left with you tonight. And Kyle, I want to give you the final say here. No offense, Nathan. You've been great as well. But tell us about the International Paranormal Museum and Research Center that you have set up in Somerset.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for asking. It's it's a labor of love that we started in October 2017. Me and my ghost hunting team, or me and my investigation team have been ghost hunting and looking into the paranormal for about 15 years now. And about 4 years ago, we decided, well, hey, we have almost enough to cover a museum. And so we started working, and we actually got to set up in the basement of this building called the Carnegie Community Arts Center in our town. It was built in 1914, I believe, as the original post office of the town, and then in the 60s became the library. So this building's always been a community hub for us. And it was personally, it means a lot to us because it was the first open business as the library that let my ghost hunting team come in and investigate and look at local stories. They were the first ones that didn't turn us away when we asked to check out their building. And so I feel honored that we got to open our museum there, and it's the International Paranormal Museum and Research Center. We cover all of the weird stuff from ghosts, Bigfoot, haunted objects. We have a mannequin that moves around. We have cryptid stuff, alien stuff, serial killer stuff. We cover I like to think that if you have any weird interests, we have something for you. You can find out more about us on our Facebook. We're International Paranormal Museum, and we have just launched our website, www.internationalparanormalmuseum.com. So we will have coming soon, like blogs. Nathan and I are working on videos and more engaging content for kind of our investigation style and talking to some of the people here in the area. And I'd want to get a big plug in for Nathan's podcast that he's been working hard on. It's called the Pennyroyal Plateau, Pennyroyal. And it's going to come out tentatively April or May. And it's going to be a 7-episode drop all at once. Basically, it started as a year in the life of the town here in Somerset and has grown to encompass all of this.
Gentlemen, I want to say thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio, Kyle Kadel and Nathan Isaac. What a pleasure it is. We're going to have to do this again because this was a lot of fun. And next time we bring you on, I want to hear a lot more ghost stories and true tales from your town. But we do have to do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us, and be an honor to be back whenever.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, I'm going to put you on hold right now. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world. relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thielen. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, We're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. The only thing I ask for in return is hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Grab a great book from We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the wacky, the wild, and sometimes the absolute grotesque. Like this story coming out of Florida. Now, usually we end the show with a Florida story. However, this is a great seizure by Florida authorities, who seized a 1,400-pound couple of bags of shark fins and a sack labeled "bag full of drugs." Yeah, customs screenings and traffic stops led to an unusual discovery for Florida law enforcement last month. In the state's northern panhandle region, the Highway Patrol arrested two men after finding narcotics in a bag labeled "bag full of drugs." Troopers pulled them over for speeding before confirming suspicions of drug trafficking from the indiscreet advertisement. Oh, isn't that nice? Nice and smart there. Authorities also searched the vehicle, turning up methamphetamine, cocaine, MDMA, whatever the hell that is, fentanyl, and GHB. GHB is more commonly referred to as the date rape drug. The two men are now facing charges of drug possession and trafficking. Officers for the Santa Rosa County Sheriff, which aided in the search, posted a mocking note on Facebook cautioning other would-be traffickers. Note to self: do not bag or do not traffic your illegal narcotics in bags labeled "bag full of drugs. Our canines can read," the warning read. Meanwhile, in the southern part of the state, U.S. Customs and Border Protection are touting an unusual contraband discovery of their own: 1,400 pounds of dried shark fins. Officials seized more than a dozen boxes of shark fins valued between $700,000 and $1 million at a Miami port in late January. CBP authorities said the boxes were falsely declared. Shark fins are commonly used for cooking and traditional medicine venison around the world. Customs agents said the shipment violated the Lacey Act, which bans trading illegally obtained wildlife. Many of the shark species confiscated in the search are included in an international trade agreement protecting endangered species of wild flora and fauna. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service officials said the shipment was probably traveling from South America en route to Asia. According to the campaign group Oceana, about 73 million sharks end up traded in global markets each year. Sarah Amundsen, president of the Humane Society Legislative Fund, says the U.S. plays a key role as an international transit hub for shark fins. Sharks typically suffocate or bleed to death after having their fins cut off by smugglers who then toss them back in the water finless. CBP has yet to announce criminal charges as the investigation continues. That just makes me sick. People need to learn and realize cutting off the shark fins does nothing. Nothing. The only thing it's doing is killing an animal for no reason. It's disgusting. As much as I hate sharks, okay, because I have a healthy fear, as you know, if you've listened to this show, I don't want them dead. All right? They are pretty cool creatures. They're pretty cool animals. Fish. Okay? They are. They're pretty impressive. And to butcher them like that, it's terrible. There's no humanity in that. None whatsoever. Rescue efforts have been put on hold after 2 avalanches killed at least 38 people in eastern Turkey. Most of the dead were hit by an avalanche Wednesday while trying to recover the victims of another downslide which happened earlier in the day. Further rescue work continued but was paused because of concerns about a third avalanche. The operation, involving more than 700 personnel, is expected to continue Thursday after inspections. Images from Wednesday show dozens of people using shovels and sticks to dig out people from under the snow. The recovery is being led by Turkey's Disaster and Emergency Management Authority, but conditions hamper the recovery, with one rescue vehicle having to be pulled out from under 5 meters or 16 feet of snow. Van Province Governor Mehmet Emin Bilmez says police officers, firefighters, and volunteer rescuers were among the dead. There are fears the death toll may rise further. A further 75 people have already been injured, according to the Health Minister Feritin Kokaso. The head of Afat's van office, Osman Ukar, was one of those hospitalized after the second avalanche. I was halfway buried, he said. I got out by my own means. Officials were alerted to the first avalanche by a man who escaped after a snow-clearing vehicle was buried under the snow. That's terrible. That's a fear of mine. That's a fear of mine, being caught in an avalanche like that. A Chinese acrobat has broken his own Guinness World Record when he climbed 36 stairs while standing on his head. Li Longlong of Henan Province managed to climb 36 stairs without touching the steps with anything else but his head, beating his own previous record of 34 stairs. Li formerly shared the record with Zhao Zhilong when they both accomplished a feat of 34 stairs on the CCTV Guinness World Record special in 2012. But now he's the sole record holder. He previously attempted to break the record on Italy's Low Show Day record, but the attempt was disqualified when he touched the stairs with part of his body other than his head. Well, at least he made it. Who comes up with these? I mean, sure, it's probably good for a free drink at the bar when you walk around with your Guinness plaque. But who comes up with some of these? I don't know. A federal judge has dismissed nearly all claims in a lawsuit that sought to force all male fraternities at Yale University to admit women, saying both fraternities and sororities are specifically excluded from a federal law that bans discrimination based on gender and education. U.S. District Judge Victor Bolden in Bridgeport issued the ruling January 30th in the lawsuit filed last year by 3 women who attended Yale. They sued 9 fraternities and Yale in response to alleged sexual assault, harassment, and discrimination at the all-male social organizations. The judge allowed only one claim against Yale to continue forward to trial, an allegation that school officials failed to act when informed by one of the plaintiffs that she and another woman had been groped against their will at a fraternity party in 2016. Bolden cited an exemption in the federal Title IX gender equality law in dismissing most of the lawsuit's claims. The ruling came in response to motions to dismiss filed by Yale and the fraternities. The gender-exclusive nature of the fraternity defendants is at the root of the plaintiff's alleged hostile educational environmental claim, Bolden wrote in his ruling, but Congress has expressed limited Title IX and made the membership practices of the fraternity defendants beyond Title IX's scope. Lawyers for the women have said they believe this was the first lawsuit by students against a university seeking to gender integrate fraternities. Messages seeking comment were left with the three plaintiffs, Rye Walker, Anna McNeil, and Elena Singer. Their lawyer, David Tracy, said, "We are disappointed with the outcome of the motion to dismiss, and we are currently evaluating our next steps." Yale officials do not comment on pending litigation, a school spokesperson said. The North American Interfraternity Conference, a national advocacy group for fraternities, hailed the ruling as a victory for single-sex organizations. All students should have the right to join organizations, co-ed or single-sex, that enhance their collegiate experience and make positive contributions to the local community, said Judson Horace, president and CEO of the advocacy group. The lawsuit called for a sweeping court order banning fraternities from considering gender in admission decisions, fully integrating women in fraternity governance and alumni networks, and requiring Yale to prohibit student organizations both on and off campus from engaging in discrimination and harassment. The three students also said women are being shut out of the social and economic benefits offered by all-male fraternities, including access to vast alumni networks that could help land coveted jobs. While there are sororities, their power and influence pales in comparison with fraternities, the lawsuit said. The one remaining allegation in the case was made by McNeil. She claims she reported to a Yale counselor that she and another woman were groped against their will by numerous male attendees at a Zeta Phi party in August of September 2016. What do you think about that? Should fraternities be single-sex or combined? I know how I feel. But what do you think? Hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter, at Spaced Out Radio. I'd like to know your answer. All right, moving on here. Police are looking for a masked man who walked into a Walmart in Illinois and sprayed disinfectant on items while wearing a sign that read, "Caution, I have the coronavirus." Really? Hey, this is by Everett's place. The Joliet Police Department said they were called to the store, the 1400 block of Route 59, shortly before 4 p.m. on Sunday. Two men walked into the store, and one donned a yellow surgical mask before spraying Lysol on produce, clothing, and health and beauty items, police said in the news release. The man in the mask also wore the handmade sign on his back. By the time officers arrived at the store, the two men had left. Some customers in the store who witnessed the incident confronted the men. Joliet Police spokesman Sergeant Chris Botsam told the media that he said police do not believe anyone was exposed to the deadly virus in the incident. Tony Prokes, who was shopping in the Walmart at the time, says that the man kept telling shoppers that he was protecting them. He was spraying all the produce with Lysol, Prokes said. He was telling everyone the same thing, that he was protecting them from the virus. Police said that Walmart estimated the damages to be more than $7,300. The store also had to clean up the costs of more than $2,400. Walmart has been contacted and hasn't responded to comment yet. Police have released the surveillance photos of the men and are appealing to the public in a bid to track them down. They said the men, who are described as white, although to be in their 20s, were seen leaving the store in a white 2003 GMC Yukon registered in a village of Oswego. The Joliet Police Department have been contacted for further information. Who does this? How sick in the head do you have to be? I can understand some youngsters wanting to play a prank or something like that, but this is going a little too far, don't you think? A street art Rubik's Cube version of the Mona Lisa is expected to sell for up to $166,000 when it goes under the hammer in Paris this month. Made from 330 Rubik's Cubes by French artist Invader, famous for his ceramic Space Invaders figures inspired by the vintage pixelated video game, is called Rubik Mona Lisa. It is the first of a series of works in which the artist has created some of the greatest paintings of art history into Rubik's Cubes. Invader, whose real name is Frank Slama, claimed that they have the foundational creations of a new art movement called Rubik Cubism. Yes, Rubik Cubism. He has glued Space Invaders' works to walls in more than 33 countries and even inspired smartphone applications for fans trying to track them down. Rubik Mona Lisa will go on sale at Art Curial on the Champs-Élysées in Paris in February 23rd as part of an auction featuring some of the biggest names in street art. Invader made Rubik Mona Lisa in 2005 and has since gone on to recreate Edouard Manet's Impressionist masterpiece La Déjeuner sur l'herbe, or Luncheon on the Grass, as well as Gustave Courbet's ever-controversial The Origin of the World in Rubik's Cube. The cube, a cult children's puzzle in the 1980s, was invented by the Hungarian sculptor Imo Rubik as a teaching tool to explain three-dimensional forms to his architecture students. A blockbuster Leonardo da Vinci show at the Le Louvre Museum in Paris, which holds the Mona Lisa, finishes at the end of the month. And finally, an Ohio couple received 55,000 identical letters at the same time due to a glitch in the system of a student loan company. Dan Kane of Twinsburg says the clerk at the Twinsburg post office told him during a recent visit that all of his mail wouldn't fit through the door, so he had to pull around back and was presented with 55,000 identical letters from College Avenue student loans. The letters from College Avenue contained a statement for the student loan Kane and his wife Dee had taken out for their daughter. The loan company said the letters were sent erroneously as a result of a system glitch. Kane said the company told him the statement inside the letters was incorrect and they would be sending a correct statement. He's just wondering what to do with 55,000 incorrect ones now. No Marty tonight, so I guess we don't get a clown. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air. Because we love the audience participation around here, today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What's the strangest legend or folklore in your community? Kelly. Well, I live in Florida, he says. So, Florida man. William. Professional football championships won by Texas teams. It's been such a long time. They are stuff of legend. Yeah, you've never been a Canucks fan, William. 50 years and counting, man. 50 years and counting. Tim. Ohio Grassman, you need to get Bigfoot hunters Mike Miller and Mike Feltner on Ohio Night Stalkers. Goes on to say, south of me in Kentucky, land between the lakes, massacred by a dogman circa 1981-82. Andrea, the Haunchies, where I used to live in Wisconsin, they lived on Mystic Drive in Muskego. Those who live on Mystic are not amused by the legend, but still, it persists today. Alethea, there was a myth that was passed around when I was a youngster, the local woods. If you visited on a certain date after dark, you would hear the rattling chains that were used to hang a woman by a demon of all things. When we were young, this clearly made us crap ourselves, and we didn't go into the woods on any night after dark. Come to think of it, that was probably a good, safe way anyways. Kelly, the Silver Brook Witch in Niles, Michigan. I'm pretty sure it's my wife, though. She scares me. Daryl, Winter's Bone was a movie based on a true story and filmed just north of here, starring Jennifer Lawrence. The chainsaw Sean still gives me shivers. Stephen, getting a pay raise. That's folklore in my town, he says. Debbie, not strange, but Bigfoot has made an appearance. I have pictures of footprints in the snow a few years back going down a steep hill. John, in my area, it's all about the Ogopogo. Jim, where I am, it's the Raystown Ray. Gabe, we got a cave nearby in Niagara Falls that the media and the world refuse to believe. There was once giant bones in there. Abraham Lincoln did a speech here talking about his find, or the find. The media says it was dino bones. Yeah, right. Jim, I am a legend and folklorish in my town. Heather, the Dover Demon, about 30 minutes from my childhood home. I used to drive to work on the road it was spotted on. And of course, Joe. Oob, Joe's Maine. There is a legend in these parts about an extremely tall, hairy man that lives on the top of a hill at the end of a road and suffers from great toxic masculinity. Legend also states that he has great hair. Joe, are you talking about yourself? You know, I know there's Bigfoot in your area, okay? I know there is. But I have a feeling this time you're actually talking about yourself. Because you have a fantastic mane, my friend. Probably the best mane of all our listeners going right now. And looking in the chat room, seeing that Joe hasn't responded in the chat room recently, he may have been taken by Bigfoot or aliens. Yeah, he likes to deny that he has been taken by aliens before. For sure. For sure. Just ask him about the coin experiment. If you're ever in our chat room and you see Joe in there, ask him about the coins. That'll freak him out. Hi, Mary. Good night, Mary. All right. Big thank you to everybody who took part in today's Thought of the Dave. We will do it all again tomorrow on Twitter and Facebook. Make sure you're on Twitter, you hit hashtag Spaced Out Radio as well. And, of course, to Captain Shirk, who put together a mighty fine SOR Newswire tonight. Really do appreciate that, Captain. Fantastic. And, of course, from the International Paranormal Museum and Research Center, we had Kadel and Nathan Isaac on. Really appreciate both of them coming in to talk about strange Somerset, Kentucky. What a great show tonight. This is one you'd want to actually go to the archives and listen to again. And, of course, they're part of Hellier, too, as well. So we thank them for coming on in. I want to remind everybody that in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be flying down to San Francisco for UFO Con 2020. Get your tickets tonight, tomorrow, or very soon at UFOCon2020.com. Come see me speak. I want to meet you there. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be, in our chat rooms on LGAB, Spreaker, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers Club on our website, or all the snarkers and snarkettes on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You know who you are. Thank you for joining on in tonight. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for hanging on out with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Jackie Chin joins us. We're going to talk vampires and zombies. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Good night.